Trying to maintain balance between work and home life can be challenging at times, but it can be done successfully. Our next guest shares some helpful insight on this conversation. We welcome our great friend, Deborah Porter, back to Virginia this morning. Always a delight.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
The ultimate mom coach, helping us with this conversation. I feel like, we talk about this balance, and then I read the articles, and then I've sort of have come to accept that there is no balance, but there's still facets to this conversation to get to a place where you feel harmony.
Yes, I like the word harmony.
Okay.
Many people are using harmony. Integration is another word. But I want to use the word balance, but I want us to understand what balance is and what balance is not. Balance is not 50-50. And I think that's where we're getting hung up. We feel like we should have an even distribution of ourselves. Balance is dynamic. It's not static. It means items being in correct proportion with each other. So some days that looks like this, right? Some days it's going to look like this. There are going to be some days where work needs you. There are projects going on, a big story broke, so you need to be there for that. But then there are those moments that your family and home needs you. And so it's this idea of finding this dynamic, changing, ever-moving, ever-shifting balance for all of the things that need you.
I can say with complete confidence, I have #never been in complete balance. And it's maybe if you give yourself a larger pocket than just looking at a straight day, a straight 24 hours. So Is it an expanded view?
Absolutely. It's not today. It's not even tomorrow. It's the totality of how you're living your life. And there are going to be days where it's going to be completely off kilter. But the goal is to be able to give yourself permission to step into what needs you in that moment. Now, at the same time, you've got to have a good support system. You've got to have people that have got your back, that understand, and that are willing to step in and support you as well.
So we have this conversation. We realize and appreciate there's never an exact balance. There's a give and take. So what is the point of being on this pursuit of finding this work-life balance? How can we find some resolution?
Part of the resolution is really coming to grips with what's important for you. What are your own core values? What matters to you? And how do you build a life that then supports and shows and gets you to live out the things that matter to you in a really real way? So the idea that people want us to work like we don't have kids and then raise kids like we don't have jobs, right? That's not possible. It's just what we're going to do is work ourselves into a real tizzy trying to do that. So being able to say no to things that aren't going to serve you anymore, maybe things that you've been doing for years that suddenly you realize that's not working. Why am I still doing it? And then being able to adopt and adapt to new things and new ways to get things done, to the point that it serves you and your family. It's going to look completely different for everyone. It's as unique as your fingerprint. So the idea of trying to compare it or think, oh, she's doing that, I'm going to try that, probably won't go over well. You've got to find what works uniquely for you and for your family.
And that's interesting because I'm glad that you're almost separating those a little bit. What's going to satisfy your seeking harmony or balance might be different than what it would look like for your core group of family, right? That those two are going to be unique from each other, in addition to unique from the world at large.
Absolutely. And just keeping in mind that this is dynamic, it's not static, it's going to change. Right? Parenting, there are different transitions and seasons in parenting. So what serves you well if you have a newborn and the balance or the harmony you feel like you've created then, when you get a middle schooler or even a toddler, those things shift and change. So being able to be willing to move with that and shift with that and change with that and not get stuck in, well, we've always done it this way. This is what's worked for us. It may not work in every season of parenting and working.
Why do we get into this pursuit? Is there something like at our core that seeks the balance? If we know it's not necessarily attainable in this grand way, what are we doing? Are we just making it more stressful for ourselves?
I think everyone wants to feel that their lives are in some form of balance or harmony with what they believe and how they want to live. Everyone wants to be able to say or to be able to contribute part of how they make decisions to some kind of inner core value. And so I think that's really what we're striving for. We want to live according to what our values are and what matters to us. And many times we get off course when we're seeking things to be perfect because it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to work that way. And so the idea of seeking and really aiming for this balance will require communication, conversations. It will require being able to push some stuff to the side that just didn't rise to the top this week. It's just not the thing that's important right now. And then really being okay with that, giving yourself permission to be okay with, you know what? I'm going to drop them off at soccer practice this week. I'm not going to sit and watch. My mother didn't sit and watch any of my cheerleading practices, ever. Never, not one. But we have this thing where, well, if I'm a good mom, I should sit there. I should sit there and watch. You don't have to watch the practice. Just come to the game.
I do remember my mom being at quite a few bowling practices, not all of them, right? So maybe you can stair step into, but heretofore, and I take your advice and tuck it right into my heart. I will, when I see work-life balance now, I'm going to strike it out and replace it with honoring my core values.
There you go.
And that's how I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your insights, Deborah.
Thank you for having me.
Always awesome talking with you. For more information on this conversation, you can visit our show website by early this afternoon. We'll have a direct link to Deborah Porter on virginiathismorning.com. Stay here. There's much more Virginia This Morning to enjoy right after this quick break.